Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. It's about 7 o'clock here on Thursday evening, and I wanted to do a video update to give you an idea, especially here on the latest of what to expect for severe weather. It's in the forecast again. You've probably seen this particular graphic that I put on Facebook earlier today, and I promised a video. Wasn't able to do one yesterday. I wanted to make sure that I got one today. The severe weather threat looks like it is really increasing, and I want to sort of go through some of these things tonight and prepare you for what's going to happen on Sunday as we see things right now. But before I want to do that, I just want to show you something that I said last week. And we've talked a lot about the typhoon rule over the past several videos. There's been just a number of typhoons influencing the Pacific Ocean, pretty active year. And of course they affect our weather with something called the typhoon rule. And well, let's listen to what I said, and then I'll make a comment and you'll see what I mean.
Typhoon Haiyan hitting the Philippines right now. It is the strongest landfalling tropical typhoon that has ever been recorded in recorded history. And notice this is out to mainland China. And remember the typhoon rule, 6 to 10 days. If it recurves past Alaska, we get a trough and cooler weather. But the typhoon rule also says if 6 to 10 days after it doesn't recurve, moves on land into Asia, we get a warming trend. So really, if you figure that out, about the 16th to the 20th, we could be looking at a potential warm-up again. So something to watch. This is a monster storm and will certainly interact with the jet stream in a big way. So,
a monster storm that would interact with the jet stream in a big way. And what I said in that video essentially was look for a warm-up anywhere from this November the 16th to the 20th time frame. And that's because, remember the typhoon rule, 6 to 10 days later after a typhoon would hit the mainland coast of China, Vietnam, and around in that area, you can expect it to interact with the jet stream. A big typhoon like this would interact with the jet stream in a big way. Little did I know that at that particular time that we would be looking at potentially the greatest chance of severe weather we've had all year coming up on November the 17th. And you can think that severe weather chance directly to Typhoon Haiyan, because that is exactly what is now influencing our weather. Not the typhoon directly, but once the typhoon does recurve up towards China, and it throws some kinks in the jet stream once it starts to interact, and so but our severe weather on Sunday will be a direct result of that. If you just take a look at the jet stream here for the 16th late in the afternoon, you can see that in particular. Here's the jet stream right here, and well, if I could draw it on here, right, here's the jet stream right around in here, something to this effect. And you notice we are starting to be in the warm zone, but the cool plunge is taking its way, and that's coming our way. So how much of a warm-up are we talking about? Well, we're talking about potentially temperatures back to the mid-60s, if I can get them back here. Here we are on Sunday afternoon. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Yeah. Here we are, Sunday afternoon. I'll just leave my mouse there. Here, but how about I do this? And you can see upper 60s already for the Evansville area, mid 60s over for us. So you've got this big plume of warm weather heading back towards us, but you also notice cooler weather up here, and eventually that will come our way because of a pretty powerful cold front. But the promised warm-up that I said that would come anywhere from the 16th to the 20th, we're looking at the 16th and 17th being two very warm days this week. In fact, I'm forecasting almost 70 degrees on Sunday. I'm forecasting upper 60s. And unfortunately, that is going to interact with the jet stream in a pretty powerful way, like I said. So much so that the SPC, the Storm Prediction Center, has already placed us under a slight risk for severe weather, and it's 4 days out from it. But they have placed a very broad area here, as you can see underneath of this. And by the way, 4 days out, they only issue 30% severe weather risks. So typically a slight risk starts at 15% and then goes up, an upper end slight is 30%. Beyond that, it's a 45% risk, and you're talking about moderate from there out. So they believe essentially everything in this area has an upper end slight risk for severe weather. And I'll be honest, whenever I saw this morning that they had done that, I thought, what are you guys smoking? Because The area that I posted that they had outlined yesterday for their 30% risk looked more like this, and of course they've drastically expanded it today. But the models have come into better agreement today that we are in for some pretty nasty weather. Let's take a look at the surface map, and you can just see that powerful cold front coming. You see low pressure develop over Iowa. Over here, move into Iowa, move up, and as it moves up, it drags a very powerful cold front with it. Here we're looking at what the particular GFS model has to say to us. Low pressure here, cold front here, and this is about 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. And of course, this would put a squall line moving through our area as well. Some of the other models are a little bit different on timing. Actually, by the time we have 7 p.m. roll around, the cold front and the severe weather is well through us, so the GFS is pretty fast. I'm a little skeptical of this fast analysis. I think it's a little too fast. The NAM is a whole lot slower with its solution, and I tend to believe it a little bit better. The NAM model has its problems, but I think it's got a better handle on this particular situation. As far out as it sees, excuse me, finding a little bit of a cold here. It sees out in this particular model run only to 7 p.m. on Sunday, but in here you can see the cold front lined up just to our west. And if we take a look at future radar for the NAM, you see it actually brings a pretty potent line of thunderstorms that would eventually move our way. And so that's certainly a cause for concern. You can see it looks pretty decent. Euro model is on a very similar vein with the NAM. It actually is a little bit more supportive of severe weather because whereas with the NAM model, the low isn't quite as strong up in here, the Euro model has it a closed low. It has it a very deep low. And the one thing that we want to take a look at here is notice the shape of this particular low, and notice how it's slightly tilted in a negative direction. When you have a negatively tilted low like that, it is conducive to severe weather because it has a chance to pull more energy up that way, and that's something that we always look for. You see that with this, and you see some pretty heavy precipitation. So let's just go through sort of some of the model data, and here's our timeline. This is, we'll use the NAM model because I think it's, like I said, it has a pretty decent handle on the situation. I'm going to show you what we're dealing with, and what I think you'll see. Here we are at 7 p.m. on Sunday night, and you notice the line is just starting to get to the Wabash River. So the action is just about to start. First, let's look at the jet stream. And what you'll notice is it is very similar, eerily similar almost to what we had on the Halloween Day storms. And you remember how concerned I was about the Halloween storms, how I thought this was the best chance we've had for severe weather all year, extremely strong winds. It's going to be another day similar to Halloween. If you remember how windy the Halloween Day was, you're going to find that same thing on Sunday. Winds are going to be just whipping 15, 20 miles an hour, gusting 25 or 30 even at times all day. And that's just sustained winds. By the time you get any thunderstorms that could tap into these powerful upper level winds, really you could be looking at 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts with these damaging straight line winds that could come with this particular squall line. So it's something that we've got to clearly watch. And you can see it even here on the jet stream. You've got pretty much an upper level low here, and you've got a major kink in the jet stream. And you're talking right here is Indiana, and we're right here in the epicenter of it, basically. And here's one of the things that I take a look at for that. Notice how the isobars are going this way, and then they're going this way. And that is supportive of severe weather because what we call that is divergence. And apologies there, my daughter came in to ask something. So what you have here is a lot of divergence going on, and you've got winds going essentially this way, and you got winds going essentially this way. And that it makes us right in the epicenter for severe weather, in my opinion. So good upper level divergence there, and keep having interruptions. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, that's supportive of severe weather. Let's go down in the atmosphere from the jet stream. Go down to about 500 millibars, which would be about 18,000 feet in the air. Winds are whipping here anywhere from 90 to 100 knots over southern Illinois, and even a good 50, 60, 70, 80 knots over Indiana here. That is very much supportive of severe weather. Go down a little further into the atmosphere, about 5,000 feet up. You've got a 50 to 60 knot low-level jet right over us. Again, that's very supportive of severe weather. So these are the same type of numbers that we were talking about on Halloween. And you know, if you remember Halloween night, it ended up being pretty rough. You ended up having something very similar to this. This actually is a radar shot that I had Halloween night at 9:10 p.m. And you had 4 tornado warnings out here, plus a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings with this particular line as it moved our way. We lucked out and it hit southern Kentucky, and we just ended up with a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings up here, and one tornado warning for a tornado that either was just a funnel cloud or never did materialize. It was radar indicated in Warwick and Spencer counties, and so. But we lucked out that night. We may not luck out this time. And this time, the reason why things are a little bit different in our area is instability looks fairly decent. If you take a look at CAPE, convective available potential energy, the amount of energy that we have available to us in the atmosphere, it was almost non-existent. On Halloween, we only had a couple hundred units. We're talking anywhere from 1,750 units onward with this. So according to this, at least, we have the energy for a pretty decent severe weather event coming up. And so that is certainly something that we cannot ignore. Now, why is this something that we can't ignore? Here's the reason why. Basically, energy, CAPE, when we talk about it, this is the fuel in the fire. And any amount of additional energy we get to these winds, it's just like throwing kerosene on a fire. And if we get any breaks in the sun to indicate that we would get this type of energy in the atmosphere, oh baby, we could end up with some very rough weather around here. In fact, if you just take a look at the future satellite, the NAM is actually showing some breaks in the clouds around the particular time that we would see this severe weather coming through. So that only is going to fuel this particular storm system more if we can get at that. And as far as other severe weather parameters are concerned, we've got plenty of bulk shear to work with. This is looking at speed shear, change in speed as you go up in heights in the atmosphere, and that's supportive of tornado development. The other thing that's supportive of tornado development is change in wind directions as you go up the atmosphere, and you can see that certainly as well from this. So you put it all together in a package deal, and we have some pretty significant parameters that indicate some problems to me that we need to be concerned about. The EHI index, Energy Helicity Index, it's an indication of could we get tornado development, and all you need to know is 1 or above is yes, we could get to tornado development, and it's one area wide for us. Another thing that I would particularly take a look at is the significant tornado parameter, STP, and what you need to know about this is pretty much, again, anything 1 or above on this is an indication of yes, we could be in some trouble. And from the yellow on is 1. In fact, you can see it has a bullseye of just outstanding numbers over southwest Indiana. Really, the orange shading you see here starts at a 3. So, and that's significant. This is indication of some very strong tornadoes that could be possible. So I don't want to use the term outbreak. I don't like that term until it's more certain. But it is looking more and more like it could be something. In fact, if you look at the Storm Prediction Center's site, they actually did use the term. They said becoming increasingly suggestive of the development of an environment supportive of an outbreak of severe thunderstorms across our area. So again, it's something that we're going to have to monitor. We go up to the mid-50s tomorrow. If you go to southernindianaweather.com and look at the forecast, I'm forecasting 69 for Sunday. But then take a look at the temperatures behind the cold front, and we dip down into the 40s again. So this is a cold front that means business. It is powerful, and it is certainly not something that wants to be messed with. So let's take a look at the graphic real quick, and let's talk about what can we expect from this. Supercells possible in the afternoon. That would be the environment best supportive of tornadoes, and those would be supercells, would be those individual cells that would race ahead of the line, and we'll just have to see whether they materialize or not. Some indications they could be there. The biggest likelihood to me will be a squall line that will set up, push through sometime probably after 7 p.m. on Sunday night, and that will be the biggest severe weather threat with it, in my opinion, as I see things right now. And certainly tornado is possible, damaging winds likely, and a heavy flooding potential could be with this. So the whole package deal, maybe even some hail to deal with. So keep it right here. I will have more updates to come, and including here and on the face page for Southern Indiana weather. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Thanks for watching, and keep safe, folks.